Michael and Anna were a typical young couple in love, living a quiet life in a small town. Anna was a dedicated elementary school teacher, known for her kindness and patience, and Michael worked as a sales representative. Their life together began as a joyful adventure, filled with dreams of a future as a family. However, as years passed, Michael started feeling confined by the routine of his life. He often thought about his missed opportunities and began to crave a different existence, one without the responsibilities of a traditional family setting. Though Anna was content and looking forward to building a family with him, Michael felt an overwhelming desire for change. One rainy evening, after a long and tense discussion about their future, Michael made a decision that would alter their lives forever. He confessed to Anna that he could no longer live the life they had. He felt an urgent need to leave, to pursue a life of independence and adventure, which he believed was waiting for him elsewhere. Anna, shocked and heartbroken, tried to persuade him to reconsider, not revealing that she had recently discovered she was pregnant. Despite Anna's pleas, Michael packed his belongings and left the following morning, leaving a note apologizing for his actions, but explaining his need to find happiness alone. Anna was devastated, not just by his departure, but by the timing of it. She faced not only the emotional turmoil of abandonment, but also the daunting prospect of single motherhood. In the weeks that followed, Anna leaned heavily on her family and friends, drawing strength from their support. She attended doctor's appointments, where she found out she was expecting not one but 4 babies. The news of quadruplets was overwhelming, yet it sparked a fierce determination in Anna to overcome her circumstances and provide the best life possible for her children. As she prepared for the arrival of her quadruplets, Anna transformed her initial despair into resilience, focusing on the future of her growing family. Her community rallied around her, offering help and resources, showing how adversity can bring people together in the most beautiful ways. Meanwhile, Michael, unaware of Anna's pregnancy, continued on his journey, seeking the freedom he thought would bring him happiness, not realizing what he had left behind. Anna's life without Michael was challenging, yet she found strength in the faces of her newborn quadruplets. Emma, Grace, James, and William arrived in the world with a flurry of activity and an overwhelming amount of love from their mother. Each day was a battle against exhaustion and the constant demands of caring for 4 infants, but Anna's spirit was buoyed by the laughter and smiles of her children. Living in a small community, Anna was never truly alone. Her neighbors, friends, and family stepped in to help, bringing meals, offering to babysit, and sometimes just providing company during the long, sleep-deprived nights. Her parents, in particular, were a constant source of support, helping Anna to manage her time between the children and her job as a teacher. Despite the joys motherhood brought, the financial strain was palpable. Anna returned to teaching as soon as she could, juggling her professional responsibilities with her role as a mother. She often felt torn between the classroom and her children, always worried that she wasn't doing enough for either. Yet every time she felt overwhelmed, the innocent giggles of her quadruplets recharged her resolve. The quadruplets grew, each developing their own distinct personalities. Emma was the quiet thinker, always observing the world with curious eyes. Grace was the leader, bold and fearless, often seen rounding up her siblings for play. James was the charmer, with a smile that could light up any room, and William was the adventurer, always finding a corner to explore or a spot to climb, no matter the warnings of his watchful mother. Life for Anna was a tapestry of highs and lows. Birthdays and holidays were grand celebrations that brought joy and a brief respite from daily struggles. But every achievement was also a reminder of Michael's absence. Anna kept the truth about their father from the children, fearing the impact it might have on them. As the quadruplets approached their 5th birthday, Anna began to see the fruits of her labor. Her children were happy, healthy, and loved, thriving despite the odds. The community's support never waned, and Anna found herself more grateful than ever for the life she had built from the shards of her broken dreams. Meanwhile, Michael's journey of self-discovery had taken him across the country, into new relationships and experiences. However, the freedom he sought brought him no closer to happiness. The initial thrill of new beginnings had faded, leaving him with a gnawing emptiness and a growing sense of regret. As he lay awake at nights, images of Anna and the life they had planned would often drift through his mind, stirring a longing he struggled to understand. Unbeknownst to him, a chance encounter was looming on the horizon, one that would provide a stark view of the life he had left behind. The day the quadruplets were born was filled with a whirlwind of emotions and activity. The hospital room buzzed with doctors and nurses as they worked to ensure the safe arrival of each baby. Anna, surrounded by her supportive family, summoned all her strength for the births. One by one, Emma, Grace, James, and William came into the world, each greeted with tears of joy and relief. In the months that followed, Anna's small home was filled with the sounds of babies crying, cooing, and giggling. Life was hectic, with every hour marked by feedings, diaper changes, and brief naps. Despite the exhaustion, Anna cherished these moments. She often found herself watching her babies sleep, feeling a mix of awe and overwhelming love. As the quadruplets grew, so did the challenges. Keeping up with 4 toddlers was a constant, chaotic ballet of motion. Anna baby-proofed every corner of the house, but William's adventurous spirit still found ways to outmaneuver her. Meanwhile, Emma's curiosity had her mimicking her mother's actions, from reading books upside down to babbling into a toy phone. Grace took on the role of the protector, always watching over her siblings with a serious, thoughtful frown. James, ever the entertainer, learned early how to pull laughs from everyone around him, even perfecting a little dance that never failed to end in applause. Community support continued to play a crucial role in their lives. Anna's neighbors often took turns visiting, bringing along toys and books, or simply offering to watch the children for an hour so Anna could shop or attend to errands. The local church group organized regular meals, and a nearby retired nurse volunteered her time to give Anna breaks. The connection between the quadruplets was extraordinary. They communicated in their own little ways, understood each other's needs, and when one cried, the others would often join in, either in sympathy or in a show of solidarity. Their bond was a constant source of comfort to Anna, who drew strength from their unity. As the children approached their 3rd birthday, their personalities became even more pronounced. They began to play imaginative games, turning couches into castles and blankets into capes. Anna taught them simple songs and read stories, marveling at their capacity to absorb new words and concepts. Despite the joy her children brought her, Anna occasionally felt a pang of sadness for the father they did not know. She kept a single photo of Michael tucked away in a drawer, a reminder of the love they had once shared. She wondered about him, about whether he ever thought of them, and what he would think of their beautiful, lively children. Meanwhile, Michael's life was on a different trajectory. His adventures had taken him from job to job, city to city, seeking something he couldn't quite define. The freedom he had once yearned for now felt hollow, and thoughts of Anna and a life he might have missed began to haunt him more persistently. It was during one of these reflective moments that fate steered him back towards a past he had tried to leave behind. Michael had spent years chasing freedom, moving from one city to another, trying to find the happiness he thought he was missing. At first, life seemed exciting. He had no responsibilities, no one to answer to, and endless possibilities ahead. He traveled, met new people, and took on different jobs, always believing that he was on the verge of something greater. But as time passed, that excitement faded. The thrill of adventure began to feel empty. The people he met came and went, and the friendships he formed were shallow. While others around him built families and stable lives, Michael felt like he was standing still. He would lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling of whatever temporary home he was staying in, feeling the deep growing void. Though he tried to push the thoughts away, memories of Anna kept creeping back. He wondered how she was, if she had moved on, and if she was happy without him. But he never allowed himself to think too long about it. It was easier to believe that leaving had been the right decision. One afternoon, while scrolling through social media at a cafe, Michael's heart nearly stopped. A photo popped up from an old mutual friend's account. Anna was in the picture, standing with 4 little children. He stared at the image in disbelief. His mind raced as he counted the kids. 4. Could they be his? He quickly clicked on the profile, searching for more clues. The more he looked, the more his chest tightened. The children were around 5 years old, the exact amount of time he had been gone. And as he examined their faces, he saw it. The resemblance was undeniable. James had his mischievous grin. Emma had his thoughtful expression. The realization hit him like a tidal wave. These were his children. His hand shook as he put the phone down. He had a family, a real family, and he had walked away from them before they even had a chance to know him. Regret burned in his chest, hotter than he had ever felt before. He thought he had been searching for happiness all these years, but now he realized he had left it behind. A sudden, overwhelming urge to see them gripped him. He needed to know more. He needed to see Anna, to see his children in person. But after abandoning them for so long, would she even allow him back into their lives? Would the children even want to meet him? Doubt and guilt weighed heavy on him, but one thing was clear. He couldn't keep running. It was time to face the past, no matter the consequences. And so, with a heart full of nerves and hope, Michael made the decision to return to the town he had once left behind. Michael's heart pounded as he drove back to the small town he had once called home. The streets looked the same, yet everything felt different. The last time he had been here, he had been a man searching for something better. Now he realized he had already possessed the greatest treasure and had let it slip away. He parked outside a small cafe, the same one where he and Anna had spent countless afternoons talking about their future. He sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel, staring at the town around him. He had no idea how to approach Anna. Would she even want to see him? Would she shut the door in his face? And the children, would they even know who he was? He took a deep breath and stepped out of the car, walking towards the heart of town. As he turned a corner, his breath caught in his throat. Just a few steps away, Anna stood in the park with 4 children running around her. They were laughing, chasing each other, their tiny voices filling the air with joy. Michael's eyes locked onto them. There was no doubt now. They were his. The realization sent a wave of emotions crashing over him. Love, regret, longing. He wanted to run to them, to scoop them up and tell them he was their father, that he was sorry, that he wanted to make things right. But he knew it wasn't that simple. His feet felt frozen in place as he watched. Anna hadn't seen him yet. She was smiling at the children, her face glowing with warmth and love. She had done it all on her own. She had raised these 4 beautiful kids without him. Then, as if sensing his presence, Anna turned. Their eyes met. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Her smile faded, replaced by shock, and something else, something unreadable. Michael's heart pounded. He took a hesitant step forward, but before he could speak, one of the children, Grace, ran up to Anna, tugging at her sleeve. "Mommy, look at my drawing." Anna's gaze shifted to her daughter, and she smiled, though there was tension in her face now. She turned back to Michael, her expression unreadable. Michael swallowed hard, gathering his courage. "Anna." His voice was barely a whisper, but she heard it. For a long moment, she simply looked at him. Then, with a quiet but firm voice, she said, "What are you doing here, Michael?" Her words weren't angry, but they weren't welcoming either. Michael knew this wouldn't be easy. He had expected nothing less. "I needed to see you," he admitted. His voice was filled with regret, his eyes pleading for understanding. "I needed to see them." Anna took a deep breath, glancing at her children before looking back at him. "You left, Michael. You walked away. And now, after all these years, you suddenly want to come back." Michael had no answer. All he had was regret, and the desperate hope that it wasn't too late. Michael stood there, his heart heavy as Anna's words echoed in his mind. She was right. He had left. He had chosen to walk away when she needed him the most. And now, here he was, asking for a place in the life he had abandoned. Anna's eyes searched his face, looking for answers, but she didn't lower her guard. She turned slightly, glancing at the children who were still playing, unaware of the tense moment between their mother and the stranger standing before her. Michael swallowed hard. "I know I don't deserve it, Anna. I know I hurt you, and I can't change the past. But I want to do the right thing now." Anna let out a deep sigh, crossing her arms. "And what is the right thing, Michael?" "Showing up after 5 years and expecting everything to be okay." "I don't expect that," he said quickly. I just want to know them. To see them, even if only from a distance." His voice cracked with emotion. "I didn't know, Anna. I didn't know about them. If I had..." He stopped himself, shaking his head. "It doesn't matter. I should have been there no matter what." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them was thick with unspoken pain and years of silence. Then, a small voice broke through. "Mommy." Anna turned to see James standing nearby, holding a toy airplane in his hands. His curious eyes shifted between her and Michael. "Who's that?" Anna hesitated. Michael's breath caught in his throat. This was it, the moment he had feared and longed for all at once. Anna looked at Michael, as if making a decision. Finally, she crouched down to James's level, brushing a hand through his dark hair. This is someone from Mommy's past," she said carefully. James blinked up at Michael, tilting his head. "Did you know me when I was a baby?" he asked innocently. Michael's chest ached at the question. He knelt down slowly, meeting the boy's gaze. "No," he admitted softly. "But I wish I had." James studied him for a moment. Then, to Michael's surprise, smiled. "You kinda look like me," he said with a small laugh before running back to his siblings. Michael let out a shaky breath as he stood up. Anna was watching him closely. "I don't know what you expect from this," she said quietly. "But I won't let you walk in and out of their lives, Michael. If you want to be here, you have to prove that you mean it." Michael nodded, his voice firm. "I will." Anna didn't answer right away. Then, after a moment, she said, "We'll see." She turned and walked back to her children. Michael stood there, watching as they surrounded her, their little hands reaching for her. For the first time in years, he felt hope. It was a small step, but it was a step nonetheless, and he would take every step needed to prove he was ready to be the father they deserved. Michael knew that earning a place in his children's lives wouldn't be easy. Anna had made it clear. He had to prove himself. He couldn't just walk in and expect everything to be normal. But for the first time in years, he had a purpose, and he was determined not to walk away again. The next few weeks were filled with small but important steps. At first, Anna only allowed Michael to see the children in controlled settings, at the park, outside the school, or during community events where she could keep an eye on him. She never let them be alone with him, and she never forced them to interact. If they were curious, she let them ask questions. If they weren't, she didn't push them. At first, the children treated him like any other stranger. They were polite but distant. Michael didn't expect anything else. He didn't deserve more than that. So he took his time, showing up consistently, proving that he wasn't going to disappear again. One afternoon at the park, Grace fell while running and scraped her knee. Michael was sitting nearby and instinctively rushed over to help. Anna watched carefully as he knelt beside his daughter and gently wiped away her tears. "You're okay," he said softly, pulling a tissue from his pocket and dabbing at the small scratch. "You're strong, just like your mom." Grace sniffled and looked at him curiously. "How do you know that?" Michael smiled a little. "Because I knew her a long time ago. And she's always been strong." Grace studied his face for a moment, then gave a small nod before running back to her siblings. It wasn't much, but it was something. As time passed, the children began warming up to him in their own ways. James, the most outgoing, was the first to start talking to him regularly. He asked endless questions: where Michael lived, what he did, and if he liked the same cartoons they did. Emma was more reserved, always watching him carefully but never saying much. William, the most adventurous, seemed to enjoy showing off in front of Michael, climbing higher, running faster, perhaps testing him, seeing if he was worth impressing. But it was Grace who surprised him the most. One day, while coloring outside, she quietly slid a drawing toward him. It was a stick figure of their family: Anna, the 4 children, and a new figure standing slightly apart from the rest. Michael felt a lump in his throat as he looked at the drawing. "Is this me?" he asked gently. Grace nodded. "You're not with us yet," she said matter-of-factly, "but maybe one day." Michael looked up at Anna, who had been watching from a distance. Their eyes met, and for the first time, she gave him the smallest of smiles. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was hope, and Michael held on to that with everything he had. As the months passed, Michael's relationship with his children continued to grow, one small step at a time. He understood that it wasn't just about showing up. It was about showing that he was there to stay. The process was slow, but each positive moment built on the last. Anna remained cautious, but her eyes softened whenever she saw how much effort Michael was putting in. One Saturday afternoon, Michael arrived at the park, as he often did, to spend time with the children. Anna was sitting on a bench nearby, watching them as they played. He could see the weariness in her eyes, the quiet exhaustion that came from raising 4 children on her own. He had seen it before, but now it felt different. He recognized it for what it was. It was the weight of years spent alone, the kind of burden he never fully appreciated until now. He walked over to Anna, holding a bag of snacks in his hand. "I brought their favorite cookies," he said with a small smile. Anna raised an eyebrow, but didn't say anything at first. She simply nodded, her gaze shifting between him and the children. "They're growing up fast, aren't they?" Michael asked, sitting down next to her. Anna nodded again. "They are, faster than I thought possible." Her voice was soft, and there was a vulnerability in her words that Michael hadn't noticed before. For a moment, they both just sat there, watching their children. James was showing off his new soccer skills, while Emma and Grace were chasing after William, who had found a new tree to climb. The laughter of the children filled the air, and Michael felt a warmth spread through him. It was a kind of peace he had never known, a peace that came from being surrounded by the ones you loved. After a while, Michael looked at Anna, his eyes searching hers. "I'm not asking for anything, Anna," he said quietly. "I just want to be here. For them. For you, if you'll let me." Anna didn't answer right away. She continued to watch the children, her fingers tapping lightly against her knee. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "I'm still not sure, Michael," she said honestly. "But I see the changes, and I see how much you care." Michael felt his heart skip a beat. "That's all I want," he said earnestly, "to show them that I'm here. That I'll be here for the rest of their lives, if they'll let me." Anna's lips curved into a small smile, the kind that spoke of hope rather than certainty. "We'll take it one day at a time," she said, her voice gentle but firm. And that was enough for Michael. He knew there was no rushing things, no quick fixes to years of absence. But he was willing to do the work. He was willing to earn their trust, little by little, until he was finally part of their family again. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the park, Michael stood up and joined his children in their game. They welcomed him without hesitation, their laughter a sign that, little by little, they were beginning to accept him. It was a long road ahead, but for the first time in years, Michael was ready to walk it.